Welcome, everybody, to One Stage at a Time, the podcast where we play through video games every single level of a game. Right now, we're in the throes of Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and we are talking about Blackout Basement. I am Aaron Neeson, and I'm joined via the magic of the internet by my co-host.
It be
he, Andy Prim. Welcome, Andy.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for being here.
Well, it's quarantine. I don't have anything better to do.
Yeah, where else are you going to be? What else are you going to do
but make podcasts?
Yeah, you're either in front of your computer making podcasts, or you're in front of your computer playing video games, right?
Yeah, or getting too mad on Twitter because people have wrong opinions about Fire Emblem.
And you have to tell them the truth. You have to make them realize.
I have to make them realize.
So what have you been playing since we last talked, my friend?
Well, I've been playing mostly Kingdom Hearts. You know, I'm on this Kingdom Hearts Odyssey for quarantine, working my way through the franchise. I finished the first game, and now I'm on to the second game, which you might think is Kingdom Hearts 2, but you'd be wrong. The second game is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. It's a midquel. Well, I guess it's a sequel, but it takes place in between 1 and 2.
So it's like Kingdom Hearts 1.5.
It is, but Kingdom Hearts 1.5 is a different thing.
Oh my God, are you serious? It's actually
Did you know this? Kingdom Hearts 1.5
I did not know this.
Is it's a collection that they released. So Kingdom Hearts 1.5 collects Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix version, as well as Chain of Memories, which was originally a Game Boy Advance game, but they re-released it on the PlayStation 2 as Chain of Memories. So you got that in there, as well as Kingdom Hearts 368/2 Days, which was a Nintendo DS game.
Okay, how do these DS games, like or the handheld games, how does their controls differ? Like, is it still like a 3D like action beat 'em up-y sort of game, or has it changed to like a 2D platformer or something?
Nah, they're more or less 3D action games, but they all have a different spin on it. Chain of Memories, the whole thing is it's cards. You're like collecting cards and building a like customizable card like deck builder type thing. Okay. And then in combat, you play cards to do your moves. So it's kind of different, but still pretty fun. It's an interesting game. I think it's pretty fun. Definitely not the worst game in the franchise. So it's got that going for it.
And it's a feather in its cap.
And it's got some crucial lore. If you really want to understand Kingdom Hearts 2, you got to play Chain of Memories first.
I've heard that the lore gets pretty in-depth for these games, like annoyingly bad in-depth.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't make any sense. It's kind of fun, but like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Even if you play all the midquels?
No. I'm going to go ahead and say no. There's people out there who will tell you like, if the story's not actually that convoluted, you just have to play all the games. No, they're wrong. The story doesn't make any sense. It's just complete pablum. I mean, I've played most of these things before. They just go so far off the rails. Like it's fun kind of in like a dumb anime kind of way, but no, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have any kind of internal consistency. Time travel gets thrown in the mix at one point. I mean, it just there's zero what am I trying to say?
Continuity and
zero sense, zero continuity.
Reason or rhyme. Does every single game have a gummy ship builder?
No.
I was gonna say, as long as they have the gummy ship builder, they're salvageable. But
oh man, those are notoriously like the worst parts of those games.
They always look like a real crap Star Fox.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they're very tacked on and no fun.
Yeah.
Aaron, what have you been playing?
Well, I'm still playing Witcher. You know, that's still a thing. The Witcher
still
3.
Playing The Witcher.
Yeah, well, like you know how it is. Side quest after side quest after side quest.
Man, do you ever get bored of all those side quests?
No, never. It's so fun. I love it. It's such a good game. Like I want to go and do all these side quests and just kill all these bandits, and then like for some reason you kill all these nameless bandits, and for some reason it gives you a moral choice when you're faced. It's like, oh, do you want to kill this guy who's literally skinning people alive, or let him live? And you're like, what should I do? And of course I picked skin him alive, or skin him, kill the skinner. But no, so I'm still playing Witcher 3. But then I also decided that I was going to play a new game. And I left it up to the fates in a way. I decided that I was going to buy the cheapest game on the Nintendo Switch store and play that.
I think I dropped out for a minute there.
Yeah, I think you did too, but I was still recording, so I think we're okay.
All right.
But anyway, so yeah, I was playing Witcher 3, and then I also decided to leave it up to the fates a little bit, and I was going to play the cheapest game on the Nintendo Switch store, whatever that happened to be. And so I went and bought that. And do you know what game I bought?
Did you buy Night Terror? What's that one game? Night Stalker?
No. I've seen that on there. I've seen that, and I think its sequel is on there too. But no, that was not the cheapest game. The cheapest game cost 4 cents on sale for 99% off, I think it was. And it's called Flow Lines Versus.
It sounds like a real winner.
So I was like, this is going to be a terrible game. This is going to be just the worst game. It's like a little puzzle game. And it's really not that bad. It's just a little puzzle game. It's this game where it's like honeycomb themed, and you have to connect two colored, like you have to match up the honeycomb colors and like connect them through lines. And then there are a bunch of different colors, and you have to connect all the colors without crossing any lines. And so it's a little puzzle game. And, the honeycombs get bigger and bigger, and you have to make more convoluted paths. So it's just a simple little game that's fine. It's fine. It's a little puzzle game. It could be played on your mobile phone and be fun. But that's what I was playing. And then
going hog wild with those sales, man. 1 cent sales, 10 cent sales.
Yeah. So I also bought a 9-cent game called Membrane, which is really interesting, but not super polished. You're like a little brain cell, and you're trying to you're inside of this guy, and you're working your way from the brain. It's a puzzle game, puzzle platformer. You're working your way from the game down to his arm to make the arm move and swat a fly.
Okay.
It's a weird game. It's got
sure. Why not?
Why not? It's a puzzle platformer. You figure out like how to get these little, like, I guess, neurons to fire and carry them with you. It's interesting, and it's kind of fun, but it's also not super polished, which makes sense why it was for sale for 9 cents. But yeah, so that's what I've been playing.
Well, I hope that your odyssey into the bargain bin of the Nintendo Switch Virtual Console is paying off for you. But that's not what we're here to talk about today, buddy.
No, we are not.
Today we'll be discussing a level from a much older game, Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Mm-hmm. And today we're playing through Blackout Basement. Aaron, you're in your basement right now. Are you getting blacked out?
I am not. Unfortunately, it is a Monday. It is a Monday. If it was a Saturday, who knows? But alas, it's a Monday, so I'm sober as a judge.
Well, we've done our share of blacking out in basements together, but we're in our 30s now, so we don't have it. Who's got time for that?
We're tired. Leave us alone.
But DK and Diddy certainly got blacked out in the basement in stage 6 of Crim Crack Industries Incorporated, which is, of course, World 5. So this would be, if they numbered the stages, this would be 5-6.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, Aaron, what did you think of Blackout Basement?
First, like just general impressions, I think I hated this level.
Oh no.
I think I hated it. Like I really didn't like the mechanic.
Describe what the mechanic is that you hate so much.
So this level is it's another like factory level. But they just turn off the lights every couple seconds on you for like a second. And so it's basic platforming. It wasn't that difficult of a level. I beat it I think I died one time before I beat it. And that was only because I was duped out by another stupid part of the level.
What duped you out?
The platforms that fall. I saw I saw an arrow on it, so I was like, "Oh, it's taking me to a secret." Because usually arrows in this game point you towards a secret. So I just stood on it, and then a balloon popped as I went off the screen. I was like, "Oh, screw you, game!"
Yeah. The arrow pointing down indicates that this will fall if you stand on it.
Right. Which, bleh, like other games do it so much better. Just like you land on the platform, it starts to shake a little bit. You're like, "Uh-oh," but this one's like pointing down. Like, come on, no, it tricked me. So I died there. Otherwise, I think I would have beaten it without dying, because it wasn't that the platforming wasn't difficult in this level. The enemies weren't particularly difficult. You had a couple clumps in there, but I just hated the mechanic. I literally had the thought, like, I think I'm borderline epileptic. I hate this so much. It's like awful. I was really glad I didn't have epilepsy, because I think it would have given me a seizure. I didn't like it.
So Blackout Basement, true to its name, the lights flickering on and off as you try to make your way through it. This is another factory tile set level, following in the tradition of Oil Drum Alley, which was the first stage of this world. Mm-hmm. This is actually the second and final time that we will see this tile set in the game. Mm-hmm. So we can bid it adieu. It's also the last time that we will hear the Fear Factory song by the great David Wise, one of the bangingest tracks in this game, if you ask me.
A highlight of the level, for sure.
But, Aaron, did you find any bonus stages in Blackout Basement?
I did not. I thought that I was going to in that platform, but I didn't. I saw that one spot where the arrow was pointing to that giant solid wall, which I assumed could be broken open with a barrel, but I did not have a barrel, and I was not about to try with this awful level to go back and play it some more.
Well, you're right that is a secret. There's an area a little earlier where you hit one of those interesting patches of ground to open up a little secret. A metal barrel comes out. And this is towards the end of the stage. If you ricochet it off the left-hand wall behind you and then jump on it, you can ride it as DK all the way through the rest of the stage, take out all the enemies in your way. And then when you hit you reach the end of the stage, you go off a little ledge, and then you bounce off a right-hand wall and roll back the other way and bust through the left-hand wall using your same momentum from riding on the steel barrel.
Okay, interesting. All right.
Now, it's a fun one. And the second bonus stage, it's actually earlier. So I guess it's the first bonus stage. Would it surprise you to know that one of those falling platforms, you're supposed to ride it all the way down into a pit to access the bonus stage?
That wouldn't surprise me. These jackholes. Secrets.
There is a tell for this. There's a single banana down at the bottom of the screen that tells you that you're supposed to.
I think I saw that actually, and it did cross my mind that maybe there's something down there, but I was just so done with this level. I did not enjoy the flickering lights.
So I wanted to ask you, Aaron, this is a mechanic that I had certainly seen in at least one game I can think of previous to Donkey Kong Country. And so I was wondering if you could think of any others that we might have seen this in. I thought of Ninja Gaiden 2 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. There's a stage in that game, the second or third or fourth stage, where you're outside it's nighttime and there's a lightning storm going on. And every so often, it's a black screen, but every so often lightning will flicker and then you can see the stage. Mm-hmm. It's a very nerve-wracking stage, much more difficult than Blackout Basement, in my opinion, but very memorable as well. But that one jumped out to me. Can you think of any others like this with like a flashing blackout light mechanic?
Gosh, this is one of those things where I'm certain I have, but I can't for the life of me think of one off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's definitely like a classic mechanic. Not the first time it was implemented here, but I appreciate, that I didn't hate this stage as much as you did. It's not my favorite stage, but I appreciate that they're, throwing this in here, that it's like kind of a creative take. This is the only time they use this mechanic in this game. So it's a little gimmicky, but it's not like we're going to have to deal with this over and over and over throughout the rest of the game. So I don't mind it too much. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like I played it and I got through it. Like I said, I didn't find it super difficult. So on the one hand, I didn't mind it too much either, just because, it didn't present that big of a challenge for me.
You're used to getting blacked out in basement.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah. So like, I didn't mind it too much this level really, except like, I just recognized like, that wasn't pleasant at all. That wasn't fun or particularly challenging. So there were no redeeming qualities to that level for me. So I was just like,
it didn't stimulate the pleasure centers of your brain.
None whatsoever.
So would you say then, in terms of stages in World 5, would this be your least favorite stage?
Probably. I mean, the other ones, like, I may have been more frustrated because of difficulty, some of them, but they were more fun. They were more rewarding in the end.
I think, Elevator Antics is definitely harder, and Oil Drum Alley might be a little harder too.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Poison Pond was harder, and I don't even like water levels, but I think I'd play that over this one again, just because this one's worthless to me.
Interesting. So it's not a difficulty thing per se. It's just a not enjoyable kind of thing.
Yeah, it was annoying and not that difficult. So like, it's like I was sitting on something scratchy, like I'm sitting, this is great, but there's something kind of poking my butt and that's not fun. So this is, what's the point of this? I don't know. That's not a great analogy.
In that analogy, you would literally be butthurt.
Exactly.
All right. Final thoughts on Blackout Basement before we wrap up this discussion.
It's good riddance. Get out of here. I'm good. I beat it. You weren't that hard to beat, but you were definitely annoying. What about you?
I'm going to miss this tile set, which I've said before that I really like. It one of the most memorable ones in the game for me. And I'm also going to miss this banging track by David Wise. So, David, thank you again for your wonderful work on this game. But we'll be leaving Blackout Basement behind. Next up, we've got the boss of Crimcrack Industries Incorporated. And that boss's name is Boss Dumb Drum. So you can look forward to that next week, folks. We're sure to have a fun time battling Boss Dumb Drum.
Seems somewhat derogatory.
But now, Aaron, let us turn our attention to your and my and everyone's favorite segment, the Lore Corner.
Yeah, Lore Corner, baby!
All right. Aaron, we've been talking a lot about the Kongs, Donkey and Diddy, and their various associates and family members and other escapades that they've been on over the years. But we haven't so far talked about Diddy Kong's forays into racing games.
No, and my goodness, what a shame, because I love Diddy Kong Racing. I think it's such a good game.
Yeah, of course, classic N64 kart racer by Rare, kind of in the same vein as like Mario Kart 64. But Diddy Kong Racing, kind of, it's kind of a cult classic, right? Like people like this game, but it's not remembered in like as big bright letters the way the Mario Kart series is.
No, like anybody that you talk to who's played it was like, yeah, what a great game. But like, it's, because it never became a franchise or anything, it's definitely just sort of been resigned to the dustbin of history,
Yeah. There's also a problem with it being re-released. Diddy Kong Racing has like never been re-released because there's a rights issue.
It got one port, didn't
it? What do you mean?
I think it got one re-release on like the 3DS or something, didn't it?
Yeah. Yes, yeah. But they had to change it around a lot because there's a lot of rare intellectual property that's bound up with the original game. Mm-hmm. So the original N64 game in that version or form, it's pure form. It hasn't been re-released since its original release because it's kind of a meeting of the worlds, so to speak. Rare was kind of trying to establish its own universe. And or like a shared cinematic universe almost. Mm-hmm. So Banjo, the bear from Banjo-Kazooie, is a playable character in Diddy Kong Racing. Mm-hmm. So we know that Diddy Kong and Banjo are friends. Also appearing in this game, Conker the squirrel from Conker's mm-hmm. Bad Fur Day, as well as a few of the characters who are just kind of like various hangers-on from kind of Rare series and original characters like Tip Tip the Turtle and Pipsy the Mouse.
Tip Tip the Turtle was my boy.
We stand Tip Tip.
Mm-hmm. What was the name of that dumb chicken?
Drumstick.
Drumstick, that was it.
Yeah, he's an unlockable, right? Because he's I think the plot is he's been kidnapped, and you're supposed to rescue him by defeating Whizpig.
Yeah, and then TT's also an unlockable, and oh my god, that guy.
Oh man, the requirements for unlocking TT were ridiculous.
I did it though. I got him.
Did you? Nice.
Yeah, me and a friend of mine, we got him. It was hard. You got to beat him in all those time trials and stuff. And
oh my god, yeah, I never did it.
Oh, dude, insane.
Well, I've thanks to a Twitter account called DK Vine that puts out some interesting DK and Rare related content. I took a look at the manual for this game, and it turns out there's some interesting lore tidbits in the manual here. Under the entry for Banjo, it states that Squawks the Parrot brings Banjo a message from Diddy Kong, informing him that he needs to get his stuff together and jump in his kart racer and go help out. So we know that Squawks the Parrot and Banjo the Bear are acquainted, possibly even friends.
We know that he gets along with birds.
That's true, yeah. Do you think that Kazooie was jealous of Banjo's involvement with Squawks?
Yeah, that's why Kazooie got all clingy and was like, no, I'm in your backpack now. You aren't going anywhere without me.
You should write a fan fiction where Squawks and Kazooie take turns riding in the backpack, and they compete to see which one of them will be his buddy partner.
I was gonna say, are they swingers? Like, what's going on?
Hey man, it's your fanfic.
I can make it whatever I want.
This is one of those adults only fanfics.
Yeah. It's all implied. It's all subtext. Don't worry. It's very tasty.
All right. Well, Diddy Kong Racing, even though it's not, as widely played today as it ought to be, due to rights issues with Rare no longer having access to the Diddy Kong characters, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. It, of course, wasn't Diddy Kong's last foray into racing titles. We know that, like you mentioned, Aaron, there was the port of Diddy Kong Racing to the Nintendo DS or 3DS. I forget which one. But of course, it was changed. They threw in more Kong characters and they took out the Rare characters. Mm-hmm. However, there is also, starting with Mario Kart Double Dash, Diddy Kong was a racer in the Mario Kart franchise. The only character to be in both the Diddy Kong Racing franchise and the regular Mario Kart franchise. But Aaron, have you heard of a little game called Diddy Kong Pilot?
I don't think I have. What is Diddy Kong Pilot?
Well, it's a trick question. I'm tricking you because this is a game that was never released.
Oh, okay.
So Diddy Kong Pilot.
Son of
Yeah, I'm tricky like that.
Hey, you tricked me. You tricked me.
Oh no, Mr. Plunkett's in here.
I'll get you. I'll get you.
Time to go in the refrigerator. That was, of course, a loving tribute to Red Letter Media.
We love you guys.
What was I saying? Diddy Kong Pilot. Okay. Let me tell you the story of Diddy Kong Pilot. This is actually a little bit of history. So, folks, you're getting a combo Lore Corner history today. But anyway, Diddy Kong Pilot was one of the last games that Rare worked on during their partnership with Nintendo. And it's an interesting case study because it shows us kind of how the relationship between the two companies was fraying, and also some of the internal stuff that was happening at Rare that led to Rare's sort of restructuring and then buyout by Microsoft. So Diddy Kong Pilot was envisioned as a Game Boy Advance game, and Rare got as far as a working prototype. It was showed at Space World, which was an old video game convention for the industry, and people were playing it, and apparently they had a mostly working prototype, but there were problems. They were trying to use tilt controls using an accelerometer the same way that Kirby's Tilt and Tumble did.
Okay.
But the technology just wasn't there at the time. And there seemed to have been a breakdown between management and the programmers. as to like what was feasible and what could be accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have some information on this, courtesy of an old website that I found on archive.org that purports to have a quote from a former Rare employee. What's funny is like they give this guy's first name, I guess to preserve anonymity, but his first name is Jens, and that could really only be one person, which is Jens Restemeyer, who is a former Rare software engineer who currently works at Playtonic Games. So, it's like Jens is not, it's not like John Smith, it's like how many guys named Jens can there be working at Rare?
It comes from an anonymous tip from, to maintain secrecy, we're going to call it Lisa S. No, that's far too obvious. How about L. Simpson?
Exactly. Okay, well, Jens tells us that around the time of the Space World demo, they got feedback from Nintendo that kind of echoed his concerns that the tilt wasn't working, that there were problems with the controls, that there was apparently a problem with the GBA screen, that you could only see it if you were looking directly at it. And I guess it was especially pronounced in this game with like the 3D assets that they were going for. And Jens thought they should cancel the game outright, but instead they got the word from on high that instead they had to have it finished by that October. And it was like only half finished at this point. They had like multiplayer modes and all kinds of other modes to implement. And it's not clear, from this quote and from what I've been able to glean, whether that directive was coming from Nintendo or from management. But Jens kind of goes on to say that they had problems with people in management at Rare micromanaging into, putting them in different directions. And when you're talking about management at Rare, that can only be two people, which is the Stamper brothers.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't come out and say that, but I mean, they were everything at Rare. It was a limited company and they pretty much controlled everything.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate, but it kind of gives you a window into some of the stuff that was going on. Pretty soon after this, however, that October deadline didn't end up mattering because Rare bought back the 49% stake that Nintendo had purchased, and then they turned around and sold the entire company to Microsoft that same year.
Mm-hmm.
So the point was moot, and now this game couldn't exist in its current form because Rare could no longer use the intellectual property, the Kong properties. However, this was not the death of Diddy Kong Pilot. You see, Microsoft never competed in the handheld market, so they had no problem with Rare continuing to release games for the Game Boy Advance, at least the ones that they currently have planned, and they had a few in development. So they repurposed Diddy Kong Pilot into Banjo Pilot. They just basically swapped the assets, made it a Banjo game instead. And that game was indeed released in 2005.
And you have played this game?
I haven't played it personally, but I have watched videos of it on the internet. It looks kind of fun. It got decent reviews, didn't blow the doors off or anything, but people said it was a pretty fun game. It suffered from multiplayer issues, not a problem with the multiplayer itself, but being Game Boy Advance, it was pretty hard to get 4 friends together that all had the game, that had link cables, et cetera, et cetera. But for what it was, apparently a pretty fun game. A lot of the stuff was just swapped right over. All the music, music by longtime Rare composer Robin Beamland, most of the assets and sound effects and stuff all got swapped over. There's actually voice acting in both versions of the game. And prototypes of Diddy Kong Racing were leaked. Someone at Rare, former Rare employee, apparently leaked the prototypes. So you can, people got a hold of these via emulation. You can play it. There's videos of the prototype that you can watch on YouTube. What they had going seems to have, been a decently fun game. You had, 4 Kong racers, 4 Kremling racers, and they're competing against each other. You got Cranky Kong as the unlockable god character. He's like the PT of that game.
I got to say, Andy, I'm kind of surprised you have not played this game yourself.
Yeah, it was it was a Game Boy Advance game. I never ended up picking it up. It was kind of towards the end of the Game Boy Advance's lifespan. Not a super wide release. I just wasn't very interested in it, to be honest. And I suppose it's the kind of thing you could play through emulation, but emulation is wrong, and we do not condone it on this program.
No, we don't. Shame on all of you, you sinners. Go to church.
Degenerates, go to church. Yeah, yeah. Y'all need Jesus.
Y'all need some Jesus. You emulating sinners.
Banjo, it's been 2 weeks since your last confession.
What do you think as far as do you think that Banjo is I know you love Banjo-Kazooie, but gun to your head, do you think that Banjo is a good alternate mascot for the Kongs and Diddy Kong?
That's an interesting question. It's an interesting question for a couple of reasons. I think Banjo is a good mascot in his own right, but when you consider him alongside the modern Kong family, it's all made by the same people. Like Steve Mails and Greg Mails, they made all that same stuff. Like Steve Mails is personally responsible for all of the modern Kong family as well as Banjo. So it's such an interesting comparison because they're all coming from the same. They're springing Athena from the brain of this one guy who you can follow at Winky Steve on Twitter. He pretty funny guy, all things considered.
I really do need to tweet him more and ask him some questions. Where is Donkey Kong Jr. is out of the picture, supposedly is Donkey Kong Current's father. Where's Donkey Kong Current's mother? Where's that Lady Ape, huh? Where's she hiding?
What did Cranky Kong do with them?
Right. I still hold fast that Cranky Kong is probably a murderer.
Yeah, you think he killed Wrinkly?
Yeah, I mean, there's clearly strife in the relationship, and
they found Wrinkly face down in the pool, and Cranky's like, I don't know what happened. She had too much to drink. She slipped and hit her head.
As Cranky's got just empty metal kegs behind him all over the place.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. No, but I like Banjo. I have always thought he was had a lot of personality as a character. I really enjoy the Banjo games. Mm-hmm. He certainly talks more than Donkey and Diddy do, so he's got that going for him. If you're saying who'd be better as the lead for the game, Diddy Kong or Banjo, probably Diddy, just because more people know who he is. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's hard to say. I feel like Banjo has the chops to carry his own franchise.
He's had mixed success so far, at least as of late. But
yeah, well,
at one point he was a superstar with that Banjo-Kazooie.
That's true. Yeah,
but he was sharing it. He wasn't holding it by himself.
No, yeah, he needed Kazooie's help. Yeah. Kazooie was pushing him up the mountain on that.
Kazooie doesn't get enough credit.
there was only one set of footprints in the sand because Kazooie was riding in his backpack. So that's the sordid and untold tale of Diddy Kong Pilot / Banjo Pilot, kind of an artifact of that era of gaming. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, Aaron. What do you think? What do you think? Rare of today. How do they conceptualize themselves? Do you think the people at Rare of today, I don't know, because it's mostly new people there, right? Except for Greg Mails. But do you think when they're there today, do they wish that they had come along 20 years ago when they could be a part of that golden age? Or I don't know. It's so interesting to think about.
I mean, it feels and they're owned by Microsoft still, so it's their own. It's hard to say. It's hard to say because they clearly have a great affinity for what they were as a company. Re-releasing the Rare collections and all that, and allowing Banjo to be part of Smash Brothers and all that.
Oh yeah, so tight, so tight.
But they're not really leaning into what they used to be. They're not leaning into it.
Yeah.
So. But again, whether that's their decision or Microsoft's decision or what.
Yep, probably a bit of both.
Probably a bit of both. I think it's probably for the best that they're trying to not be what they were, because you can never really recreate that. Except
true,
if you're Nintendo, I guess. Nintendo can re-release a 2D Mario game every other month.
Yeah.
and with great
Nintendo's an
success.
interesting case because all the guys that made the original Mario are still at Nintendo.
Yeah,
they're all
that's
still
true,
there
too.
to kind of shepherd the franchise. Except with a few exceptions like Greg Mails, everyone who worked on Donkey Kong Country and the Banjo games have moved on, and most of them are at Playtonic Games now, which is pretty interesting.
Now, are they the ones who did Ukulele?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Steve Mails, Jens Restemeyer, pretty much everybody that were Kevin Bayless, Chris Sutherland. I mean, these were all people who, were in the credits of like every Rare game from this era, and they're all at Playtonic now.
Right. Which I haven't played any ukulele. Couldn't speak to its quality. You've enjoyed it. I
love ukulele. Yeah, I would recommend it. I mean, it's not for everybody. As people, I think, want it to be something that it isn't. It's, it's trying to capture a certain aesthetic and a certain feel. But that appeals to me. It's a game made precisely for me. So, hey, what can I say? It's a good game.
Right. You got what you wanted.
Well, that'll do it for today's Lore Corner with a bit of history mixed in there. We'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Aaron, do you have any final comments today? Anything else you want to discuss? Anything burning on the tip of your mind there before we wrap this episode up?
Well, there is something that I texted you about a little bit before we started this. A gentleman who touched many of our listeners' lives, I'm sure, as well, even without realizing it, passed away due to the coronavirus. His name was Rick May, and he was the voice in Star Fox 64 of Andros and Peppy Hare. So all you guys out there who are enjoying memes about doing a barrel roll, it came right from this man's golden tonsils straight to your ears. And we owe him a debt of gratitude, and I'm really, really bummed out that he passed away.
So many classic lines uttered by this man's lips. Do a barrel roll. Your father helped me like that too.
Trust your instincts.
Andros, of course. Only I have the brains to rule, Lilat.
You will die just like your father.
A great talent. His voice is imprinted in my memory and always will be. But it's a sad thing. He's gone on to coin heaven, to the great bonus room in the sky. We wish him the best.
Pour one out for him.
Godspeed.
Yep.
He's flying his R-Wing into the great beyond.
Yeah, he's in all range mode forever. But yeah, no, that's all that's on my mind as far as that. Please wash your hands, everybody. Practice social distancing.
Yep. And all joking aside, shouts out to his family. And seriously, thanks so much for all the good times.
Indeed.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up there on that bittersweet note. Thanks everyone for tuning into this episode. This has been One Stage at a Time. Tune in again next week where we'll be tackling Boss Dumb Drum, the boss of Crimcock Industries Incorporated. But for now, we'll be signing off. Please follow us on the internet. Head to onestageatatime.com if you want to see our things. I'm Andy. This has been Aaron. This is One Stage at a Time, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Save and continue.